All right. It's another week with Saint Nick. Saint Nick actually has a new nickname. I don't know. Have you ever had a nickname? Like
Um,
a nickname?
when I was like really, really, really young, people used to call me Saint Nick, like when I was like a kid. And then Big Nick was like, that was like my bodybuilding name, like Big Nick. It was just so cheesy. I hated it. But it actually like bothered me for a while that I was not going to be Big Nick, when I was like downsizing, and I was like, it's all right. I'll own Skinny Nick now.
Well, you did transform quite a bit in the last
Yeah.
year. It's really impressive. I'm so impressed. So
Thanks.
you're really taking the gym seriously, huh?
Well, I'm taking it's not bodybuilding anymore to me. It's being healthy seriously, and it's a different mindset because like, so I mean, you weren't really like a hardcore bodybuilder, so it's kind of hard to relate. But basically, like when I was a bodybuilder and I was hardcore bodybuilder, and that was my passion, it was about consuming like as much protein and much carbs, making sure my macros were like perfect around my workouts. And now it's like, oh no, I'm not going to have that because I don't need extra protein. I don't need to have XYZ. I don't need to have potato chips, or I'm not feeling like low carb today. So I don't need to have extra potatoes or rice. You know what I mean? So now it's a whole health perspective. So it's I've had to really revamp my mind and the way I think about food, and just my relationship with food, everything. I mean, it's literally a 180 to what I was doing before my lifestyle. So like I'm paying attention to everything I'm doing now, which before I was paying attention to everything that I was consuming, like I made sure I consumed this X amount of food or did this much training or I slept this much to recover. But now it's like just being efficient as possible, healthy as possible, not overdo things like I was before. Just really paying attention to everything. And I don't need to have that much protein anymore. I don't need to have that many carbs. I've realized that the body's pretty efficient without all that crap in you and all that food in you, so.
Especially once you've built it.
Right. Yeah, that's obviously the foundation definitely helps as well. So
What I noticed, I remember when I went off gear. So when I went off gear, I was bald. I had shaved my head at the time. So
oh
my
wow,
hair is actually the length of my time period being off gear and off lifting too. The first
that's
6 months or
wild.
so, yeah, the first 6 months or so, I stayed on TRT, but I didn't lift any weights. And
Mm-hmm.
my arms were still 18 inches.
Right.
It didn't go away that fast at all.
Yeah.
If I had continued lifting weights and even gone off TRT, I might have been able to maintain more of it. Which
Right.
brings us to an interesting point, right? So someone made a comment on our chat interview, which, by the way, thank you so much. Let's explain why Nick is Saint Nick. So Nick is a gentleman who has become one of my favorite friends. He has a lot of surprises. He loves surprises. He doesn't tell me what's going on, but he brings me gifts all the time. He's a lovely person. I want you guys to know that. So I call him Saint Nick now. He's on my phone as Saint Nick Fragility. It's not IFBB Pro. I might start titling them Saint Nick. Yeah. Anyway,
the first pro Santa Claus bodybuilder.
yeah, let's just make clear to everybody: Chad Nichols is literally the hardest person to get from the Mount Rushmore of coaches.
Yes.
He's the hardest person to interview, and it's just because of your relationship with him and you investing in my channel, which is so sweet of you and kind of you. Thank you for that. Now, someone commented on that thing, and he said, I know, it's just a troll comment, but it's useful to know. The guy said, hey, Leo, you have no muscle. You need to work out. You're the mismatch of this group. Well, the thing about it is, I responded to him. I said, no, what I need to do is I need to live to be a centenarian. I want to live very long.
Yes.
So that's my goal.
Yeah.
So then he responded back to me something like that. But what I wanted to say is this interesting topic: is lifting weights healthy or not? I
was having this talk with somebody the other day because I was explaining, like, I'm like, how healthy, because we were having like a discussion. I was actually in the gym and I wasn't doing weights. I was literally doing like push-ups, pull-ups, and just like some calisthenic stuff. And I did cardio and I went in a sauna. And I'm like, how come when I lift weights though, it doesn't feel good? And he's like, my friend's an ex-bodybuilder too, who's like retired. And he's like, isn't that fucked up? He's like, we used to think that used to feel good. All that damage we were doing to ourselves and all the inflammation we were causing and, all the damage to the muscle cells and, and then and then ramping up our metabolism, eating all this food after we're done training, and like doing it all over again tomorrow. And then we're wondering why we're not making any progress, because we're doing it every single day, like 25 days out of the month, and we're not making any progress. But no, so I was thinking, I'm like, there's probably a fine line where there's a lot of benefits, obviously, to keep your muscles strong, bones strong, tendons strong, ligaments strong. But I think there's obviously like a threshold to where it becomes just overkill. You know, I think doing like full body stuff is probably the healthiest way. So you're not putting so much stress on the tendons, ligaments, where it's you know, it's too repetitive every week. You know, you're not doing like a bodybuilder workout. I would do more of like a full body workout, more body weight stuff, more natural movements, not like fixated machines. I'd probably find some healthy balance. That's what I'm trying to do now, but I don't really have a passion to lift, so I haven't really been doing it, to be honest. I thought I was going to have like all this motivation to do it for myself, and it fizzled out really fast. it just my mind's not there. But health purpose, I've adapted what you've been preaching to me, though, about being, you know, living as long as possible and being healthy as possible. And I'm trying to be better at it. And taking advice from you, obviously, and watching what you do and you don't do. So
here are my ideas about this, because of course, you know, some of the listeners may not realize I was in love with weightlifting for most of my life. You know, I really love weightlifting. So right. Before I finished the 11th grade, I had already squatted 405, natural, of course.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Completely, yeah. And I deadlifted almost 500 before
I
finished 11th grade. So by 12th grade, I had a spinal, like some pain in my spine. So I stopped doing that stuff. I was naturally strong at the squat and deadlift.
That's crazy.
Then I got really focused on schooling, and I was so focused on being a nerd that I stopped weightlifting for a few years. Yeah. When I got back into weightlifting at 24, I got back into it at 22, did 2 cycles and stopped quickly. I just wanted to feel what steroids were like. I never tried them. And I'd already been really strong without them, you know, and I used to read about them from when I was 15. So I tried a little bit. Then I stopped again. This is my whole history. Then at 24, I was natural again, went back into the gym within 1 month, 405 squat again, back to normal within 1 month. I'm just saying this because some bodybuilders say like, oh, I just squatted 405. Dude, I was 180 natural. It's easy. It's no big deal.
Yeah, that's what I used to lift 400. I weighed 300.
No, I'm not saying about.
But everyone used to be like, "You're so strong." I'm like, dude, I'm really not. I admit, like, I wasn't the strongest guy, but I could get big, but I couldn't get strong. I knew that right away when I started lifting weights, that my tendons and ligaments were not meant for strength lifts. Like, I was not doing that shit. But you have to know that. People aren't smart enough or intelligent enough to recognize that. But
that's such a great point too you bring up. You got to know what you're good at, so you don't destroy your body on the way. And I wasn't actually good at being strong. I was just so dedicated. Like I was studying West Side Barbell in high school. I was on the
You must have had some type of. You had definitely had stronger tendons and ligaments than a natural kid. Bones, joints.
For squat and deadlift, I was good. Yeah,
you have big joints.
No, very tiny. They're bigger now than they used to.
Yeah, you do have small joints, yeah.
I used to have tiny joints, but they got bigger because of grip. When I was in high school, I also closed the COC 2 gripper and then quickly closed the 2.5, but didn't get to the 3 and I gave up.
That's fucking crazy.
No, I was legitimately strong throughout high school, obviously. And then after that, I took the time off. And then, like I said, I went back to it at 24 for a few months natural. Again, same weights for those things, but I didn't progress because I never did it continuously. Then at 26, I was in a place in life where I was saying, I want to find a hobby that doesn't put pressure on me. So I saw this arm wrestling sport. I said, this is great. They're competing, but you don't get hit in the head. So you're not going to get more traumatic brain injuries. I have enough already.
Yeah.
And it's a strength sport. And I loved like arm strength. So I got into that too. Now I was never great at arm wrestling. I did compete and stuff and I was training with the best arm wrestlers, but I was very strong. Like I used to go on a preacher curl with one arm dumbbell and do partials with 140 dumbbells, stuff like that.
That made a big difference in your arm. Arm wrestling?
I got to the max arm size possible without side injections for me. It's 8.
But I'm saying curling was a big factor in your arm wrestling strength.
So my biggest weakness in arm wrestling, and by the way, we're going to have a podcast on arm wrestling that will be beginning in the next 2 weeks. It'll be the top podcast in arm wrestling with Vazgen Sugoyan, my former coach personally.
So cool.
And we're going to bring everyone on it. Devin Larat, everyone's going to be eventually on the show. He knows everybody, and I've met them through him also. They're nice people. And we'll learn about arm wrestling. But basically, arm wrestling is this. There's a wrist movement,
Right.
And there's basically a curling movement. So
Right.
there's a curl. My problem in arm wrestling was my arm would open up, not my wrist. My wrist got really strong.
Oh, so
I
you're
was focusing on
saying
that.
here.
Exactly.
Because I
Point
see
is,
them doing it on Larry Wheels' channel with Adam and stuff, and he goes like this.
yes, you
It's like,
immediately close in and you
yeah,
pull it.
yeah, and he pulls them right down. I'm like, oh.
But what my point is that, yeah, I was really into weightlifting too. And I got to points where I was very strong in some kind of things. For example, when I was arm wrestling, I didn't train legs for 4 years. One day I went downstairs to the gym and deadlifted for 580. 580.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was either 585 or 580. One night I had not deadlifted or squatted for 3-4 years before that. So I was strong. But the thing is this, I'm just like you. I loved real weightlifting.
Yeah.
So there's an element of it when I go in, when I'm afraid, am I going to go too far? I'm going to start eating a lot of protein. Am I going to start doing, am I going to get into the old habits? Am I going to I need to take some anabolics or, so that's where I veer off it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other element is in terms of health. How is it helpful health wise? First of all, it keeps bone minerals, which is important if you're a woman or if you're growing old and losing bone mineral density. But other than that, the main reason people say to lift weights is actually for glucose disposal.
Well, that's
so
true.
That yeah, you have a lot of muscle. Glucose is a place to go. That's the main reason.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have glucose problems.
Yeah.
So I'm focused on cardiovascular exercise. I have a video on this. What type of exercise extends life the most? And you'll see that the top strength people often die of heart attacks. Strength lifts are not very good for your heart. Even while you're doing the lifts, you're damaging your kidneys. Every time you do a 500-pound deadlift, you're damaging your kidneys. Yeah. Because your systolic blood pressure is over.
Through the roof. Yeah.
So what happens is the blood vessels burst in the kidneys and they don't heal. So
now put this in perspective for somebody watching. How much damage is really how much trauma is really happening when someone does those crazy lifts opposed to how about this? Do this. This makes more sense. Compare someone that lifts like me who was just in there pumping weights and not putting that crazy strength. I mean, that crazy pressure on my, my heart, lungs, liver, kidney, because I was never, like a max lifter. I would just go in there and literally I would pump. I would go
that's healthy.
From one machine to another. That's literally how I lifted my entire career. I never had one injury ever until that little pec thing, my last show ever, my last prep ever. That was the only injury I ever had. And it wasn't anything crazy. That was the only thing that ever happened to me because I lifted like that, like almost like a little bitch, but I didn't want to get hurt. I was petrified of getting hurt. But then you have someone that Larry Wheels, who's literally every day in the gym, I feel like he's pushing his blood pressure through the roof. I mean, everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So
do you think, is there a big transparency difference between that?
Yeah, I really think so. I really think now when I ever do go to the gym, when I'm fasting or when I have the energy, I go and I do those pump workouts like I'm a 60-year-old with light weight. Yeah. And that's healthy because you're moving your heart around, you're keeping the muscles activated, they do grow a bit and so on. But I want to mention a couple of things. When I was a kid, when I was weightlifting, when I was a teenager, I was reading all these West Side Barbell stuff from Louis Simmons, saying that squatting and deadlifting, if you know how to do it correctly, does not damage you. That's not true. Your spine is not meant to hold any loads. You're not actually meant to carry anything. Yeah,
compressing the spine is the worst thing. Yeah.
Yes, it does damage you in the long term. You can check out Louis Simmons' back, for example, even himself. And everybody else, every other powerlifter I know has severe injuries from their joints eventually, especially strongmen. Yeah. So there's that.
I have, knee problems, elbow, thank God I never was injured, but nagging injuries to me, I mean, my discs are pretty bad, but to me, that wasn't a career-ending injury. So I don't consider an injury. Those are just those are growing pains that come with bodybuilding. You can't avoid that stuff almost. You're going to have shoulder problems. You're going to have lower back problems, disc problems, compressed discs.
Shoulders especially.
Yeah, shoulder rotators. I mean, that just goes with the territory, but I never had any torn body parts, thank God, because I lifted like a little bitch. I wasn't in there going to be Mr. Olympia by lifting heavy weights. So I was like, I'm just going to lift the way I feel is most beneficial to my building muscles, and for me, that's what worked. So, sometimes I did quarter reps, half reps, full reps. It depended on what I was doing. So that's why videotaping my workouts when I was younger, I was like, this is so boring for people to watch. This is not this ain't no Ronnie Coleman shit. You know what I mean? So,
well, but you're not a cripple either.
Yeah, but look at him now. that's.
Well, and I wasn't even talking about Ronnie. I mean, even the powerlifters, they're all in pain. as adults. I mean, when you become an adult, when you become over 60, you're actually living in pain a lot of the time. All the stuff that you're going to do stuff that you're really going to regret. You're going to be just in pain all the time. Why would you do
People
it?
don't think about that though.
Yeah. So that's the perspective. It's not that I don't like lifting weights. I love lifting weights. This is why we talk about this stuff.
So what do you really, real quick, one sentence, what do you think the difference is between me and Larry Wheels lifting weights? Like, is that really big of a difference on damaging?
Yes, that's damaging, and yours is maybe even good. It's just cardiovascular exercise.
Wow. Okay. I didn't think it was that big of a difference.
Absolutely. Getting under a 500-pound squat is very, very bad for you long term. There's no question about it. I've seen too many. I mean, this is just the truth. Powerlifters want to believe otherwise, but it's not true. It's not good. Spinal loading is not really good for you. So that's the truth. But anyway, listen, I got to ask you something, Nick. Why does my IG homepage only have pictures of fitness chicks? I don't know why. I've never
your Discover page.
Yeah, what is that? You have that too?
Yeah, my girlfriend's like, well, fiance now. I always get trouble for saying that, but every time like I have her like help me with work, I'm like, here, go on there and take these orders or do whatever. She's like, why is your page full of hoes? And I'm like, always like, I really don't follow anybody. Like, I don't do that on purpose. Now, granted, mine's probably a little tainted because I do have like, I have high people that work for me full time that do Instagram stuff. So maybe they are like following pages and I'm following. It might cause my algorithm to get fucked up. But I think yours is probably getting like that because of people now commenting on stuff, like the people you're attracting now because of.
I think that my followers follow them.
Right. Yeah. So now you're getting viewed, you're seeing all that shit now. So especially with all the bodybuilding stuff you're doing now, you're going to get the.
Hey, those CrossFit chicks are interesting. I didn't really know they were like that until this happened.
They're fucking intense.
Wow. Like, and intense. All of them look feminine. I don't understand.
Yeah, like, I don't think a lot of them cross, like, I don't think they cross like that dark, they don't go to that dark with the drugs. I think they're pretty, they'll probably use like fat burners and stuff, but I don't know.
Maybe seen some of the Icelandic ones? You can notice them because their last names are Daughter.
Yeah, and they have like the most incredible female, like I'm not even talking from a beautiful standpoint. I'm talking about like a specimen, like they're crazy.
Very fun.
Like,
so let me tell you about this really interesting story about Iceland. So Iceland is a place that was populated with very few families, all coming from Vikings from the male side, almost all, and Irish slaves that they had enslaved. The Vikings had enslaved them and brought them to Iceland. And there's a very homogenous society. They didn't mix with people outside much. They have one of the most unusual things that the Arabs even don't have now. They have patronymic naming, meaning you don't have a last name as the same as your dad. Your last name is your dad's name.
I did not know that.
That's what the daughter is. It's the daughter of the guy. So their last name is son or daughter, meaning the son of this guy. Arabs used to be like that, but they didn't realize that you could do that still. So they just adopted last names.
What about Thor? You see him going MMA stuff? You see him fighting?
I thought that was more like a celebrity kind of stuff.
He's doing his first fight in either December or January, expedition fight. He's like doing great. Yeah, I swear. Yeah, very soon. He just signed a contract for it. He's fighting like some, I don't know, just for like a warm up. He said to practice, like, because I think he does want to fight Eddie Hall supposedly. But he's like getting really lean and mean. Like he's grappling. He's doing like BJJ stuff. Like I don't know. It's pretty impressive seeing him move around like that. I'm not gonna lie. Like that guy's a monster.
I guess he's gonna be like a Bob Sapp. Remember Bob Sapp?
Oh, man, Bob Sapp. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, basically that's what he's doing. Do you think he made money in his career?
Yes, because when you become a celebrity from a TV show, that's exactly what I was thinking. Whether it's for money or not, I think he's very wealthy.
You think so?
I do think so because of the TV show. It just made him so famous.
I met him in Miami one time, like 6 years ago, when he first was when he was in Game of Thrones, when he first got popular. And that man is fucking huge. I have that picture with him somewhere. I gotta find it. I was at the pool with him and his wife, and I was with Chelsea actually. And we were sitting at the pool having like mojitos with him. He was like cool as shit. He was like one of the nicest guys. And but man, I was big too at the time, Leo, and I was like, damn, dude, like I feel like I never lifted a weight in my life next to this man, Monster.
Unfortunately, his heart cannot be made.
I was gonna say, what do you think
No, it's not like when you're taller, your heart is just better.
No, it's the same
No,
size.
no,
Yeah.
no, I mean, sometimes it can be bigger, but it's still way more difficult. So,
is there anything for he can do for preventative care, like for him?
yeah,
to
a lot of things. But like, for example, NBA players often get they get blocked arteries in like their abdomens because of their height. So there are certain problems just with being tall, other than being big. I'm sure that's why he actually wanted to switch out of that, because strongman is those guys use the most.
Oh man, I remember when Brian Shaw was with us at MHP when I was there. You know Brian Shaw is, right? Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Leo, if you, oh my God, I'm not going to talk about his business, but like I was like doing a lot of shit, and I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then the amount of food he would consume when we would go out to eat was unheard of. I've never seen someone eat that much in my life. You know, he was like 450. And I was like, I was like 290, 280. And I'm like, this man eats literally what I eat in a day in one meal. It was like insane what that man could consume.
The super heavyweights in powerlifting are like that too. Like they'll eat 5 pounds of meat a day. They'll take huge.
He ordered 3 dinners, like full dinners.
Because at that point, if you're in the super heavyweight, you want to be as heavy as physically possible. The heavier you get, the stronger you are. That's why they take growth. It doesn't make them stronger, but makes them bigger.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
It's wild. I feel bad though, because you're right though. Their life is going to be shortened just from being who they are, as a human. They can't prevent most of that issue.
Now, I wanted to mention some notes. I just want to let you guys know I'm sorry for there being less informative videos recently. I've been extremely busy.
God damn it, Leo.
I've been extremely busy. Not that people watch them much anyway, but I want to let you guys know I'm no longer doing genetic analysis by itself on my website. I've removed that so that people don't message about it. I'm too busy to do it. I'm focusing mostly on clients. And I'm actually also stopping strategy consulting because I have too little time on my hands to be able to deal with clients and that. And I want to do my best at this because I really like this. So the interesting thing is you were mentioning your wife helping or your fiance helping you. I've also been trying to convince Lucy to give me one of her secretary or someone full-time. I can't schedule my own. I'm having such a hectic time scheduling.
I know it's like Chelsea wants to do what she wants to help me. She doesn't want to do all the things I want her to help. I need her to help with. So like we kind of argue about that part because I'm like, no, I need you for X, Y, Z. And she's like, no, but I'm not doing that. And I'm like, well, you don't have a fucking choice. Like who's going to do it then? I'm not going to hire another person. We have enough people working for us, And it's kind of funny. We bicker back and forth in a good way about it, but it's a lot to juggle. I mean, it really is. Like there's some days.
You know what the worst part is? You guys, I don't know if you don't really do this, but those guys stay awake all night. So they call you at 11.
I used to do that. I used to be up till 5 a.m. every day. And I realized my health was just deteriorating from that. I stopped doing that when I was heavy. Like in January, when I decided to commit to this, I stopped being up late, and that fixed that fixed a lot of my cravings, the late night eating, the depression. That fixed a lot of my depression. My sleep cycle is so much better now. Like last night, I was up a little later than I normally was because it was just some stupid shit going on with the website, and I couldn't go to sleep without fixing it. And I was up to like 3, and I'm never up that late anymore. I'm usually in bed by 11:30, asleep by 12. Like that's like my routine. And it like this morning, I was like, fuck my life. Like I was so fucked up this morning.
Me too.
But I almost don't feel like I feel 100% now that I've fueled up and I ate and stuff, but I could still tell I was up late. You know what I mean? And I had this stupid Christmas party to go to tonight, but
you've got a long. Oh, that's hectic.
But luckily, no, I'm in luck because New Jersey has a curfew at 9:30, so we gotta go. We gotta be home anyway, so it'll end early.
I'm barely functioning. I've been doing like 4 hours, and my circadian rhythm got thrown off. So now when I sleep, I don't sleep deeply. Also, so it's like I really have to.
Because you have too many nights that were thrown off, right?
Yeah, 3 nights in a row that were thrown off. Exactly. Okay, so let's get into some interesting topics.
Wait, real quick, before you go. I'm not gonna. I don't want to go back to it. When you say you were talking about the comments on the Chad video, did you see the video where people thought I was on drugs? The comments.
Yes, I responded to it. By the way, for anyone that doesn't understand,
I saw you on the video.
It started at 12 midnight. He
He's
stayed
like,
away
bro,
till
you
3.
were ripped. I'm like, what was I ripped on, you dick? Like, tell me what I was on, please. I'm like, I'll tell you if I took drugs. I don't care.
Look, guys, if anyone can tell if somebody's on drugs, I can tell. So you're not gonna guess better than me. And
that video started, what, 12:30, 1
it
o'clock?
Started exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You were dying at the end. You were falling asleep on the thing, but you did it for us. You did it for us, exactly. Yeah. So be appreciative instead of trying to.
But it's like they think I'm not going to admit to doing a drug now when I admitted to everything else I've done at this point. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to tell you I took a drug. Like, yeah, I drank a shitload of coffee.
I only didn't hide the user because I wanted my response to be there. But if somebody else
I
hide everybody. If anyone says anything insulting, you're all out. I don't care. Yeah, like, I don't do this as a business. I do this for myself. So if somebody's insulting us, get the hell off my channel.
People think that I'm not afraid to admit to my wrongdoings in life, then I don't know who else would talk about their stuff like I do.
That's my point. You've been incredibly honest. And most people see that. We don't need to even address
that. It's just funny. I just wanted to talk about it. I saw you address on the Lenny thing too, with Lenny's podcast. You talked about
exactly. I had to mention that. Well, we'll talk about that podcast at the end of the show. So quickly, let's talk about some interesting things. So Rolly, I found out, is in his 40s. Did you know that?
Well, 43.
Yeah. How is he not getting the credit for this? This is incredible.
I thought he was, this is the thing. So I remember Rolly coming up when he had Grandma Sybil as his coach. And that was when he was like young, but I didn't realize he was old then. Because now that puts him at 43. I thought he was younger then, but now I realize like, shit, okay, he wasn't that young then when he was like coming up as a bodybuilder. He was actually pretty old then. So he started late then, basically. Okay. And, but the amount of success he's had in the last 5 years has been incredible because a lot of people wrote him off. You know, and I think I don't know if you remember when he got in a motorcycle accident. Do you remember that?
Oh, I heard
when he tore his quad, and I thought that was going to be like the end of him because that was when he was not doing well at bodybuilding shows, and then he was on a motorcycle, fell off, tore his quad, and I was like, oh man, this is it. Like, there's no way this guy's coming back from this. Came back from that. Found a good coach to work with, I don't know if it was Oxygen first or somebody else, but he finally got in his groove and he started winning shows. And he started looking better and coming in condition. And it's unfortunate that it took that long for him to get good, but it seems like he hasn't aged that much though. Like he looks very young, right? Not that I don't know if he's healthy or not, but he doesn't look,
The Arnold was incredible in Australia. I think it was Australia.
Yeah, that was very good. Very good.
I mean, he looked like one of the most impressive. Have you seen his recent pictures that he's looking much smaller?
Yeah, I saw now, I don't fucking trust their mirrors, but or their cameras. So I don't know if it's maybe the different bathroom, a different mirror, different cell phone. Did they alter the photos? Because they fuck with everything over there. And if you notice, I talk about this with Phil all the time and Phil Heath. Their cameras don't seem like they're HD or 4K. And I'm like, what iPhone do they have over there? Like iPhone 6? Like what phone are they using? It's like 720p.
They're not using
all of a sudden the photos got pixelation and all this shit. And I'm like, what the fuck happened to their photos? Did they upload them? So I was so funny. I talked about Air all the time from Oxygen.
Yeah.
We talk on WhatsApp. And I'm like, yo, what's up with your Wi-Fi in your gym? Yeah, I talk to him all the time.
Badil is from a very famous business family in Kuwait. He's from a...
No, I don't know even... I mean, I talked to him because of Abdullah, and I told you, me and Abdullah are close. So we became close over the whole Oxygen drama that happened like 2 years ago. But I bust his balls once in a while. I'll be like, Bader, what's up? He's like, hey, Nick. And I'm like, what's up with your Wi-Fi? Do you guys have Wi-Fi there? He's like, yeah, we have great Wi-Fi. I'm like, well, how come all your guys' photos are all pixelated and it looks like you guys uploaded from like a... iPhone 6. He's like starts laughing. He's like, our photos are clear. I said, okay, but I don't know. Understand with that photo though. It's all grainy and weird. I don't know.
Hey, I was gonna make a video about this. I'll probably still make a video, but let's just talk about it here for a second, okay? Just because some people are asking. So, is the gear better in the Gulf than here? Okay, I lived in the Gulf, and the first time I ever used gear when I was 22, whatever, I did a couple.
You would know best.
Yes, I used gear there, and I've used pharmaceutical gear here, and I've used underground gear and everything. So it is way better.
Right.
It is incomparable to what you get here. Even if you're getting some pharmaceutical stuff, everybody here is getting some underground stuff.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's a world of difference.
Yeah.
It's a world of difference, and enough to make a huge difference in a body.
I think, and when we say gear, I think a lot of people think about testosterone. They don't think about all the other androgens like the trends, the primobolins, the anavar, all the things that really make a big difference in the person's physique. Growth hormone. A lot of kids don't have, like, I would say probably more than half kids don't have access to real stuff like that. And they think it's real, but it's not, and I think what do you think? Those compounds make the biggest difference in your physique, right? I mean, not testosterone is testosterone, guys. Testosterone powder anyone can get. That's not a big deal. It's everything else that's hard to get, like the power bones, primobolins, tren hex.
Exactly. I got tren hex there in ampules, and my shoulders were
best.
My shoulders were so round. I was
76.5 or something milligrams.
Exactly. And those things you can only take 3 a week, and you're huge. Your shoulders are popping out. And people asking, "Can you fit through the door?" This is. Yeah,
unbelievable.
So a lot of the time, those things are produced in actual, like, proper laboratories, but in Pakistan or in places like that. But they're very high quality.
Yeah, very high quality.
Well, that's
there's actually a real chemist, a compound pharmacy making them, not Joe and Bobby in his bathtub.
Or some Chinese guy underdosing it because he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's a lot of these places that claim like all this shit. Like, remember, the raw has to come from somewhere good to begin with for them to even make you good gear. Just because you got the raws from whatever country and import them doesn't mean they're going to be good, because most of the time those raws are shit anyway. They're already underdosed, and then the guy making it's going to underdose it even more. So now you're getting, like, let's say 25% of what you're supposed to get.
That's exactly what it felt like. It's exactly the difference I felt.
A little tickle.
What the hell is this?
You're like a little tickle.
Yeah, you could take a gram and a half of testosterone, you barely feel it. But if you took 500 in the Middle East, you'll feel that immediately.
That's what. So the beginning of my career, I had everything elite stuff, because back then that's when stuff was good, like the Decas, the Norma Decas, all that stuff. It was amazing. And as my career got later on, it become I still got it, but I didn't have the amounts that I need to do what I wanted to do at the end of my career. And I started giving up on really looking for it. I was just like, I'll just take whatever. But I remember in the beginning of my career, there wasn't a lot of syringes going into my body then, because the amount of oil I didn't have to shoot then. Then when I got later in my career, I'm like, why do I have to shoot? I'm like hiding it all over the fucking place because I'm shooting so much of it. Like, it was disgusting at the end of my career what I was doing in my body. And I remember I said, if I die today, I'm going to look like a piece of Swiss cheese. Because, like, all the fucking... Remember when they said Michael Jackson dies? He had, like, get all these, like, needle marks on his body?
I didn't know that.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
They did, like, a autopsy.
You know what he was taking? He was taking, I think it's called
propofol. Yeah. The drip.
To sleep.
Yeah, fucking crazy.
That's a GABA A agonist, actually, but it's so strong it just turns you off, like, into,
Shuts you off, right?
Completely. It's like Valium. It's just like the strongest version of that ever. Those kind of things.
But they said he looked like Swiss cheese from all the needles. So I was like, I'm probably gonna look like that too, though. At the time, all the fucking needles I used to put in my body, it was disgusting. But, like, I think that's a lot of the big problems why today, well, these guys, they're shooting so much stuff, like the amount of oil, like,
and whatever else is in the oil, which they come with impurities. The Chinese stuff is usually
it's disgusting.
And if you test it, you're going to test it once. You're not going to test the purity every time you order it. You can't do that. It takes too long.
No.
So the quality of the gear in the end is a huge difference, and that's why people are in the Middle East. Because the Middle East, unlike like Sweden, the Middle East is the opposite. They don't care about testosterone as long as you're not hurting kids or something like that.
Right. And plus, those guys in the oxygen have their pharmacy connected to the fucking place, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's like...
That's how it is in Dubai, too. You go into the gym and you go to the fridge and the GH is there and you can take whatever brand you want and the insulin is there, too.
When I come back to my next life for bodybuilder number 2, that's where I'm going.
Yeah. What do you think about Chad's recent updates about Ramy?
So that leg photo?
Feelings?
So he showed me the whole photo. I wasn't allowed to. He's like, don't post anything. And he's like, definitely don't post this. And I was like, all right. And so listen, this is my thing. I started comparing him from when he did the show he lost to Bonac. I forget what show it was. Anyway, he looked pretty identical there. But the thing is, like, the angle, how the photo was taken, again, a stage shot versus somebody like in the gym with their pants down. You know, yes, his glutes look pretty gnarly and deep separated, but like they always get like that pretty much from the side. So Chad didn't send me anything but that side photo, which I can't even see anything. So all I see is like, you know, the back part of a side chest and like half of his arm, which doesn't tell me anything. It's not like I even saw anything that exciting. So I think the poses that are really going to make or break Ramy are his rear double bi, his rear lat, and then his front double bicep, like front lat spread. I think those front and rear shots are going to be the make or break it for him. He's got great side shots. He's got a small waist enough to hit the side shots. He's got great hams. He's got good quads. But those front and rear poses, like if he's soft, no one's even give a shit, honestly. You know, and Bonac will wipe the floor with him. I think Rolly could beat him. I think Brandon could beat him.
Okay,
Hadi will beat him, you know.
Okay, wait. We got one by one. The first thing I want to say, a funny thing about Ramy, you know, the word Ramy means archer, but his actual name is Mamdouh, which means complimented. Someone who's complimented. Totally, he has like two names.
That's
he has like a nickname that's it's like my name is Tom, but I asked you to call me Nick.
And he was a fisherman, right? Growing up,
supposedly. He's interesting. You know, we should, if we ever can, we should try to have him on the show because I could interview him in Arabic and translate.
Well, I know his manager really well.
That's what I was thinking. Well, first we'd like to get Abdullah, right?
Yeah, Abdullah will come on. I told you he's going to come on as soon as the Olympia is over.
That would be awesome.
I'm sure. You know, if he wants, we could probably bring Brandon on if we want.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so now this is the thing. Did you hear what Meadows said about why Ramy can't get in condition? In his opinion, Meadows
was it about training?
Yeah, no, he was basically saying that he thinks the growth hormone and particularly the insulin cause the muscle to grow in such a way that the fibers don't show very well. So even if he comes, that was his analysis. What do you think about that?
So I think it's a combination of things with Ramy, and I'm not expert. It's just my opinion, but I think number one, they loaded him up with way too much stuff in the beginning of his career. I think he was pushed way too fast to be a mass monster. Like if you look at his amateur competitions when he competed over there to turn pro in like Kuwait or wherever the hell it was, he was already like blown out like everywhere. Like not his waist, but like his body parts were just like abnormally big. You know what I mean? Like
Hunter Labrada's arms, for example, right now.
Yes.
Okay, great example. And let's notice. Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, that doesn't look right. That just looks like a bunch of like inflammation and like insulin and fucking too much training. And you know what I mean? Like you could tell when it's rushed. Is that what you think too?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah. So like, I just think there was way too much going on in the beginning of his career. And I think honestly and John is very accurate with that statement. I think he doesn't have the mature muscle that like those fibers that were supposed to be built over years of lifting weights. He built them with drugs, and those fibers didn't have a time to mature right properly. So now all you're getting is like muscle expanded against the fascia, and it's just really big. It's not detailed. It's not feathered. It's not separated. It's not matured. You know what I mean? Like it's like cooking a steak. Like you put on fucking the burner on high, it's just gonna burn and be charcoal and not cooked all the way to the middle. Right.
What it might be also is intramuscular fat from the insulin that doesn't.
That could be that too. Easily. Yeah.
That would smooth it out. I don't know if it's possible.
It just looks like a bunch of glycogen-filled muscles to me. You know? Like it just filled with a bunch of blood and fluid, and there's no detail to them. I mean, that's the biggest problem.
Now, I was surprised to see that Meadows commented on Hadi Chopin's shoulders. He said, like, I feel uncomfortable supporting Hadi because of his shoulders.
He did. I didn't miss that part. I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he said, I feel uncomfortable supporting. But he said he has great conditioning, but I don't know.
Did you see my post?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see my post with Hadi like this and his shoulders?
Oh, yes, I saw that one. Yeah. So, did you comment on it, on the shoulder?
No, I put a post up on my Instagram.
I saw the post,
yeah. But I don't think it's synthol. No, I think it's him being lazy with his shots and just knotted up.
Yeah, he has like just a knot in one.
He's always had pointy delts though.
Yeah, it's just I think they were like there was a hint in the conversation that someone was hinting like implants or not implant. I don't think it's anything like that.
No,
it's pointy. No, it's too pointy. No. There is a guy who has shoulder implants, by the way. He's been on my show before, and I've asked him directly. I'm like, how do you have wide shoulders at 60? And he's like, well, I was just born with wide clavicles. I was born with wide clavicles. They're already shrinking. I'll tell you later who he is, but he lied. He has shoulder implants.
If you look at Hadi from behind too, like if you look at with him in a tank top on or no shirt on, you could see the difference in delts too. Like the rear delts, like you know what I mean? Like it's so off. Like it's just from him putting the oil there, like his gear there, and just being lazy. And it's when you get really lean, for people that don't know, that oil does not absorb as well as it does when you have a lot more fat in your body. That I noticed. So when I got leaner to shows, and when I got into like real good contest shape, like shredded, peeled, the oil would not absorb no matter how good it was. So that's what got me into the theory of starting breaking up these shots really small, like to quarters to half cc's, like all over the place and moving it around so the absorption would be better. So when it was contest time that I learned to do that. Because everyone has problems with stuff knotting up, you know, and if this guy's using water-based stuff like an idiot, then he's going to have problems even worse, you know, because the inflammation's crazy, you know. But
you know, I should also make a video on this separately later, but I just wanted to mention, you know, scar tissue, why does it not go away? Like, why do people go do massages for it? It's because your body's never in autophagy. Autophagy is eating your own protein. See, if you're actually starving, your body will start to eat that scar tissue up. But if you're eating protein every 2 hours for 10 years, the scar tissue will stay because your body never needs protein. It doesn't need to pull it out. That's how it often stays longer for some bodybuilders.
Too many people let it build too much, though.
No, your way is the superior way. Everybody should be following your way.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't, honestly.
Yeah, ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, what about Breon and Chris Bumstead? I feel uncomfortable saying his last name without the Chris. Bumstead. No, but
man, Breon looks really, really, really good. But I think Chris is just the poster child for classic, in my opinion. They look at everything. Not that I want to say that social media has anything to do with it, because I don't think it really does, but I don't know. Like, he's the 6-foot white guy. I'm not trying to sound racist or anything, but like, he's got the whole look. He's a good looking guy. He's likable. He's got a really good physique. It's balanced. It's not overly muscular. Granted, he doesn't have the best back, doesn't have the best hamstrings, the best glutes. He doesn't have the same muscle Breon does, in my opinion. I mean, Breon's much more advanced, you know, in the muscularity part, and as far as being literally having no weaknesses, you know. Breon is very complete. There's not a body part in that kid that I could say, oh, he needs to work on, really. Chris, I could pick, you know, arms, back, hams. Like, there's a lot of things he needs to work on, but his structure is very pleasing to the eye. You know, he's a tall white guy, small waist, you know, nothing crazy. Like, I don't think they want the overly muscle guy being the classic guy. And I think Breon looks more like a 212, you know, competitor. Not that, you know, he's not classic, but he's heavily muscled, very heavily muscled.
I think maybe they want someone who appeals to non-bodybuilders also. So
yeah, they don't want more of a streamlined guy. Like, Breon looks like a straight up bodybuilder to me.
Yes. Yeah, like a very good.
Chris looks like an athletic builder. What to call it? You know what I mean? Like, if you had a t-shirt and shorts on, or pants or sweatshirt, you're not gonna be like, oh my god, that guy's a ginormous bodybuilder. No, I would never think that. No. You know, he's only 225, whatever the hell he weighs, so it's not that heavy. Like, shit, I've been starving myself for weeks. I can't get down to that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how he even weighs that much. It's crazy.
Hey, we should mention something since we're talking about Chris. You know, Chris has mentioned before he has an autoimmune disorder in which his immune system attacks the inflammatory cytokines attack his kidneys. It's unfortunate. You know, some people get that. It attacks the adrenal glands, like Addison's disease, which JFK had. You can get it. I got it attacking my whole gut system. It's called Crohn's disease. You can get it attacking just your colon, like John Meadows got. It's smaller, and that's called colitis. And if you fail in that, sometimes they remove your colon. But I just wanted to mention for the guys out there, that is a real thing. And so that's one of the reasons to always look at your C-reactive protein on your tests to know how high is your systemic inflammation. Because if it's very high, your body may be attacking something, harming something. Do
you think he has? I mean, do you think he's crazy for pushing the envelope?
If what he's saying is true, I would quit completely. Yeah, of course.
Really?
Yeah, of course. But you know how I am about health. I mean, I think health is wealth.
So what? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much risk is he running by being a bodybuilder?
I don't know how severe is the autoimmune.
Oh, there's levels to it?
Like, yeah, let me explain. Like, for example, if I right now stop taking fish oil for a week, I'll start to develop some signs, just removing my fish oil. Like I might get some psoriasis, or I might get some joint aches or something like that. Once you feel that happening, the damage is going. Some people, it'll be attacking the joints, arthritis. Well, there are different kinds of things, but you can notice it coming. So he's probably just watching it and trying to make sure it doesn't turn on.
I know last year he was having problems, but
he may also be taking a medication to turn off the immune system. Which
you can do that?
Oh yeah, but it's dangerous for cancers.
Doesn't sound healthy.
Yeah, because the immune system is also like tumor necrosis factor alpha. A lot of these things are cells that go around trying to kill cancer cells.
Right.
If you turn it off, you usually have more likelihood of getting a cancer.
So it's a hairy situation.
It's a hairy situation, exactly. So Dexter Jackson was on Dave Palumbo's show finally. I see that he has a supplement company, which is the reason I guess he finally agreed to go on the show.
Who does, Dexter?
Yeah, he's starting a supplement company.
Another one?
Yes, he's starting, and it's very important to know about. It's starting in January or February. Anyway, what I wanted to comment on is nothing to do with that, but it's an interesting subject, huh? When I was doing my research about white hair, I found out that people get white hair differently depending on their genetics and ancestry. And actually, African Americans get white hair the least of all groups around the world, Asians.
Interesting.
So I noticed one thing though, whenever African-American bodybuilders grow their beards, you notice, I mean, Dexter's 50, but even the younger ones, they always have white hair. Like what's his name? The guy in Kuwait has it too. Mr. Olympia.
Brandon. Yeah, Brandon has it.
A lot of people have it. And I wanted to comment on this briefly because some people wonder, okay, why would that happen quickly if you're bodybuilding? The way white hair comes out is that DNA gets damaged at the hair follicle cell in the bottom, and the DNA gets damaged in such a way that you can no longer produce melanin. This could happen because of senescent cells. So for example, if your cells divide too many times, they go over 40 times or so, they either have to die, apoptosis, or they become senescent like zombie cells. And these zombie cells attract inflammation. If you get a senescent cell in one area, it'll start to spread. And that's how a lot of people get knee pain and so on. So that's why sometimes you'll notice my beard has white around here.
A little patch,
spreading, you see? So now, within one person, this does mean you're aging quicker. It means you're damaging your body. Now, it could be that your telomeres are shortening, so you may be less likely to get cancer or something like that. But across people, it doesn't mean that because I have white hair, I'm in worse health than someone else my age that doesn't have white hair.
Right.
So for example, my mom's family, they all have white, a lot of them got white hair by their 30s, but I have over 6 centenarians in that family.
Gotcha.
They live very long. But within a person, if your white hair is happening more rapidly, you're damaging your body.
So there's going to be periods of time where it's going to be worse than other times, right?
Yeah. The quicker you see it happening, like I saw my white hair happening literally at the times of my peak stress during my life. I could see it starting.
So that is true then.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get the great white hairs from stress.
So Phil Heath went on muscular development also.
I saw that.
Muscular development still pay?
No.
I was wondering.
No, definitely not. I'm surprised they even. I'm as a friend standpoint, I didn't talk to him about it yet, but I was wondering why he went there for an interview. I mean, it could be I think because honestly, he's loyal to Ron. I think that's the only reason he went there, because he likes Ron.
He was very humble in the interview, and it went very well.
Yeah, what did you think about it?
Oh, it was awesome, I thought.
Yeah, that was a good interview for him. I told him the same thing. I said that was a good interview. I haven't talked to him yet about it though. I just told him that was a good interview. But he's like in his zone right now, so I don't want to even though he's like, just text me, call me. I don't care, because he called me yesterday. I haven't even called him back yet, actually. I just realized that. But I don't like, because I know how people are when they're prepping, and I don't like to be like, oh, how you feeling every Tuesday? You know what I mean? Like, it's just annoying. Like, it's like, yeah, I feel like shit, obviously, like.
So we'll leave Keon until our next talk. I think it's relevant there. But I wanted to ask you about Bonac. Can Bonac improve ever? I mean, at this point, because his clavicles are small. He's like overly muscular for his size. Yeah. And then a sub question: should you be penalized for obvious hernias? Because it looks bad. It does look bad.
Yeah. It's gotten really bad.
What if you can't see any abs anymore? Like Bonac is losing, not completely though.
Well, this is my thing. Like, I think it's still fucked that Phil lost at Olympia because of his stomach, when other bodybuilders have apparent missing body parts
No, I'm not talking about Phil. I'm talking about
No, but I'm talking about like hernias in general, because Phil's obviously was bad then. So now you look at Bonac's, and there's someone else that has one. And it's like increasingly got worse. Like it's an obvious issue. Like what do you like? You know what I mean? Like we're in a judge sport. You can't have these flaws on stage like that are like so visibly distracting to your physique like that, you know? And I think people should be penalized for it, especially because I think it's hurting his conditioning. I think that's why he hasn't been in shape, because of the blood flow issues, maybe from a diet standpoint, can't push his cardio, can't push his weight training, because he's not been on point the last two shows. Now, him and Neil Hill did separate before that, so I don't know if maybe not having a coach in his corner, that could have affected his conditioning as well. But you could tell one of his legs has been a little smaller than the other one too. I don't know if you notice his one leg has a little bit of atrophy for some reason. I don't know if it's from an injury or from whatever, or genetics or whatever, but there's something going on. And I don't know if that's the core of the problem to why he's having these issues, but he hasn't been the normal shredded, detailed, hard Bonac the last two shows or three shows. Like he's been off. So I don't know if that hernia is getting bad, because Phil told me that his blood flow is like insane, because he's had that injury for like 6 years and didn't realize how much it was affecting his circulation and blood. Like he knew it was affecting it, but he didn't realize how much it was until he recovered from that surgery, you know? So I wonder if Bonac's going through the same thing, you know?
Well, but also Phil's was less visibly obvious. Bonac's is like a single point.
Oh yeah. It's like,
so that's what I mean more so. But
it's gotta be painful. It's gotta be painful.
Yeah, I mean,
when it's that close to the surface, it's got to be painful.
Have you had a hernia surgery?
Not yet, but what I noticed was it's not there anymore. When I was heavy, my umbilical hernia, and my doctor said it was a hernia, but it's gone now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if because my stomach is gone now, like it shrunk, like I actually have a small waist again. I don't know if the pressure has been alleviated from that, from the stomach being pushed out or whatever, but it's literally gone. Like I have no pain anymore, but I was in pain every day with that thing. Really? Every day. And yeah, I went and got a ultrasound done, and they couldn't find it, which is the weirdest thing. The technician was an idiot. I think I told you that story. She was screwed up.
Been trying to poke out, but didn't get through yet.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Is that basically what happened?
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, I have no pain now, so like, I don't know. It's fucking funky though.
So basically, for anyone that doesn't know, basically what happens is the abs are actually quite good at preventing the intestines from getting out. But once the abs split open, or at the belly button, which is already open, it's easy for the intestines, if you have a lot of pressure from food or working out or whatever, to push through. Now, one thing people have been saying on other podcasts though is you have to hold your waist in to train it to be thinner. I just wanted people to know, if you hold your waist in with visceral fat and with a full like food and stuff like that, that's how you push the intestine out. That's how you get a hernia.
That's the worst thing for it.
Yeah, that's how you get a hernia actually. So it's really just reducing the visceral fat and trying to keep less food in your belly. Yeah, if you just keep squeezing all day, you're gonna get a hernia.
It's like being constipated all day.
Exactly. What do you think about this Wesley Vissers guy? Does he have any chance in his division?
Oh man, I think he looks awesome online.
Yeah,
but, right? Like he's kind of like a Reagan. Like I think like Reagan looks amazing on YouTube and Instagram, but then he gets on stage, I'm kind of like, I'm not that impressed. But like he photographs well and videos well, but I think he's the same way to me. I think he's like, his structure's off. There's something off. Whether I got to look at his physique more and to critique it more, but it doesn't flow well. I mean, like he's got like really cool muscle though. Like he's got like that, almost like that real dry, detailed look. He doesn't have like, he has really good skin as well. Like the way the skin lays on the muscle. He's got an outstanding physique, but like, as far as like being the best in the world and winning classic physique champion, it's gonna be hard. I don't.
What about that Logan Franklin guy that keeps?
I like Logan. I like Logan's physique.
Do you know him?
Nah, not on good terms. No,
but he's not on the level of the other guys.
To me, he's got a lot of holes in his physique. Right? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I thought. I don't know much.
He looks amazing by himself, like another one. Like, but obviously he won the New York Pro. But like, there really wasn't anybody there that was like competitive. I could tell you, like, oh wow, like, because there's so many guys in that class that are going to be now I don't know if he's going to get a political push because of he was a physique guy before. He wore the board shorts before.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah, he was a physique guy. So now he crossed over the classic. So I don't know if maybe they want him to do well, so they're going to push him up. But to me, like, he can't stand next to those top 5 guys, in my opinion, in the classic. There's too many genetic superior. Like, his genetics are superior, but then there's like the next level, which is like Breon's and everyone else. Those guys, they're flawless.
He looks like a Men's Health guy, or like he should be
absolutely like Greg Plitt. Remember Greg Plitt?
No, I don't know. But
you don't know Greg Plitt?
No, who was
he? Got hit by the train.
No, he was on Men's Health.
He was like #1 Men's Health cover ever. Greg Plitt. He's the one that died from doing the video shoot on the train tracks when the train hit him.
Oh yes, I've heard that. Oh my God.
He was running on the train tracks and then they doing a video and he tried to jump off and tripped and the train hit him.
I've heard that story, but I don't remember.
Look him up. He's literally like,
Now this, and I didn't download your program yet. I'm sorry, but I will download it. I remember you sent it to me, and next time we'll be able to look stuff up, hopefully. But quickly, I want to say something very interesting. This may be the first year that somebody goes from being, well, unfortunately, Flex Lewis is not in it, but somebody could go from being #1 Mr. Olympia to 4th, because Ramy and your friend from Colorado, and Hadi Shupan, there's a complete possibility that he could go all the way down to 4th, huh? Or
do you think they would do that?
I mean, if Ramy came in condition, how could you put Brandon before
There's
him?
no way, right?
You can't. There's nobody can beat Phil. So
and Bonac and Brandon have gone head to head. So, maybe Bonac's probably beat him before too. So Brandon's open for damage. That's for sure. Like could really drop if everyone else is really good and he's not on, or if maybe he got worse or whatever the case may be. The thing is, I don't think 100% Brandon could beat 100% Ramy.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is even if he's 100, if Ramy is 90,
even Rolly,
98,
even
100% Rolly would beat him too.
Right?
The Arnold from Australia, Rolly would beat, I think, Brandon.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he looks unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, actually, what's going to happen. Hopefully,
what?
No, tell me.
I think they really want a rivalry though between Brandon and Phil.
So probably it'll be second.
I think. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Probably Ramy will come off anyway. So
because even Phil hinted in that video, if you watched it, he's like, "I'm probably gonna be last. I'm probably gonna be in that last. I'm not gonna be first, but they want me to stand next to everyone else." He said, "I'm probably gonna be next because they put Mr. Olympia as the last guy that comes out and poses. So when quarter turns, he's like, I'm probably gonna be in the last group." And he's like, why? He's like, they want me to stand next to Brandon. And I'm like, yeah, obviously. I'm not saying to him, but like to everyone else, like they want that,
But Brandon never beat Phil. Brandon beat somebody else.
He never even was compared next to Phil because he wasn't that high up yet.
Yeah, it's not possible. I
don't think it's any on paper. I mean, like on Instagram, you can say, "Oh, wow, there's a battle," but like in reality, when they stand next to each other, it's going to be so black and white. I think. Actually, I know it. It's just not even a comparison. It's not even.
Now, quickly about Hunter's arms, which I've been noticing have been growing immensely in the last 2 years.
So much
incredible growth. It reminds me of Dallas's growth. It reminds me of what was his name, Nick Walker's growth. Very similar kind of pattern of growth. It was interesting to me that Meadows mentioned that he hopes that Hunter doesn't take it too far and end up taking it so far that he ends up like Ramy, not being able to get striations and things like that. Which, if coming from Meadows, because Meadows usually doesn't criticize much, but he
doesn't say much.
He noticed what I noticed, which I'm not a bodybuilder, but I noticed that huge size difference. What do you think as an experienced guy?
How old is Hunter?
I think he's 26 or 28. He's not 30.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at what he looked like from 2 years ago, or even a year ago when he showed those are real photos, and nothing in this sport ends up well when you go fast, in my opinion. Like I have yet to see somebody go fast and did not crash and burn in some way, whether it's health or injury or their physique suffers. There's always a repercussion for them pushing the pedal too fast. And to me, I just saw him rack deadlifting, like, not that this is a lot of weight, but 500 pounds, You know, like, what are you doing right now? Like, why? Like, I know he has that hardcore Texas blood in him, you know, he likes to train like a lunatic, but man, like, that's not going to end up well once you start getting a little older and you don't, or even now, like, that's just some freak thing could happen out of nowhere. You're so lean. What is the point of doing that right now? There's nothing to gain from that.
I know this is going to sound very inexperienced and a little bit GH15-y, but the look it looks like to me is there's a lot of insulin going on, a lot of growth hormone consistently for 2 years straight. And he's been building and building and building, and it's
too fast.
It's very fast. It's very impressive. I mean, there's something.
No, he's got stupid amount of muscle on him for just taking testosterone and DECA. There's just no way. I'm sorry. It doesn't happen.
He has that thing that GH15 used to call mutation, which we can talk about some other
time. Yeah, he 100% he looks like mutation. And there's really nothing else to point at. Like, because look at his father even. Like, yes, he has good genetics because look at his structure, but like, they're not big people. Like, you see him next to his dad. His dad looks like a little, like it looks like a toddler. Like, he dwarfs his father. So it's not like, oh, his genetics are amazing because his dad. Like, no, his dad wasn't a big bodybuilder.
What happens is the drugs change since his
dad. The drugs will change that, right? Like, you know all that. That's your... That's to me, that's just a screaming sign of what the fuck are you doing? You know, like, slow down. Like, you have enough muscle on you already. Like, and the fact that he's so short too, like, he's like not tall, not short, but like in the middle, like, you're just going to destroy your physique eventually. It's just not going to, like, his frontal bicep to me already looks fucking weird. It looks like,
I haven't looked at it.
So like,
really good from the side down.
He's got very thick triceps, brachial, you know, like, really good arms, but like, I don't know.
What's going on with the front double?
Just look at it. Like, it doesn't look right. It doesn't, like, you know, it's just such a really fucking weird thing. But when I was with Kai Greene for a while at Muscle Meds, and I knew like when he was pushing the gas pedal or not, because like when he would do his front double, his neck would look so weird. Like, here would be so like blown out, and his hands would literally like 3 times the size they normally were. So like when he did his front double bicep, his hands were almost touching like his shoulder. That's how big his hands were. But then like if you looked at other photos, his hands were small. And his neck was skinny. And I was like, I wonder what the fuck. And it was just something I didn't know. I didn't even know. My education was very slim then. I'm just like, why is his neck so skinny here and his hands so small here? But then I started taking a lot of growth hormone and I realized, shit, this is what happens. My neck and my hands are a lot bigger when I'm on this shit. Like, I had like muscles in my hands everywhere.
My neck was 22 inches. I could barely sleep. It was horrible.
That's why, yeah, that's horrible.
I used to train my neck and take growth hormone.
The worst, oh, wow.
The worst. Fuck. I was carrying 150 pounds with my neck and doing
the
like...
The biggest neck I had was like 20 and a half or something, or 21 maybe. Like, that was it. But like, it was so weird though. Like, if you look at Hunter's front double bicep, his hands are like paws and are just like hanging, and his neck is literally gone. There's no neck. It's just head. It's so weird, dude. I don't know.
You know, Saint Nick, you made me laugh on a very tired day. This was a very funny discussion. Now, we've got one last thing to talk about before we end, so that we can both rest and you can go to your party.
Oh, God, yeah.
But really quickly, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Number one, there's a supplement called Pycnogenol. Pycnogenol is a supplement with very little research to... Okay, when you pick a supplement, guys, the reason you should pick it, I just wrote down some notes for you. First of all is the amount of evidence and the quality of study design. So as a scientist, you design a study so that it shows the most extreme change possible. So you really know how to, need to know how to understand study design so you can understand the meaning of studies. So for example, for me, I took courses in study design in university and graduate school, and then I managed a research laboratory at the London School of Economics where I design studies for professors. So I understand study design a bit. So you need to look at the amount of evidence, how many papers, what do the meta-analyses show? Because every paper has slightly different study designs, and then you have to understand that. The second thing you need to do is look at the uniqueness of the effect. Does Pycnogenol have something very unique towards it that other supplements don't have? Then another thing is the specificity of the effect. Why do we use drugs instead of supplements? The more specific something is, the less it fucks up with everything else, the less side effects. So that's why we want drugs whenever we can have them. And finally, And then finally, the safety of the supplement. Now, Pycnogenol is not something that scares me. It's just something that's very overpriced, has very little evidence to be used, and should never be included in a top 5 list. It's something that Dante Trudel goes around talking about. Now, unfortunately, there are many supplements like this. The supplement industry, because of individual companies, have promoted. So individual companies have made many studies and then promoted it, and people who don't know much, like Dante Trudel, get excited and go tell people about it. So, for example, there's one called PQQ, also similar to that. There's one called astaxanthin, which is found in shrimp, which even, for example, the extremely knowledgeable Jerry Brainham, who's, Jerry Brainham?
Of course.
He came on my show and I asked him, what supplements do you take? He said he takes astaxanthin. I said, why would you do that? There's not much evidence to support its use. Right. And he agreed. He said, yeah, there isn't, but I just take it. So that's how it is, okay? So when recently Fouad brought up the Pycnogenol on his show, I think because Fouad, as everybody knows, has called me and done all this bullshit with me. So after that, Fouad has been trying to repair his reputation and have a health focus on his show. So he made one show talking about a little bit of supplements, and again, he threw in this random thing from Dante. Unfortunately, Dante doesn't read much.
No.
Second thing is,
Dante has a history of doing that.
Yeah, no, he has a history of, for example, when Flex Wheeler's leg getting amputated, him posting about a supplement. I mean, this is just guys. So anyway, I just want to talk about Pycnogenol, fix that. It's nothing personal. Second thing I wanted to say is Meadows and Fouad had a discussion in which basically Fouad brought Meadows on. To be honest with you, I texted Nick. I said, Nick, I feel really bad. Because the guy brought Meadows on really just to try to be clear to his audience, have a health focus, show that he is concerned about his health. I think he was really trying to be genuine, and I respected it. I respected it.
I think, well, this is the thing. Like, Faood's like a diehard bodybuilder, something that I wish I really was, like, because I don't have the passion for it, and I respect the fact that he still wants to be a bodybuilder because that's just who he is. And I think you said maybe he recognized that one time that it was kind of sad to hear that he knows that maybe he's shortened his life, and that's where I'm at now. I'm like, I don't want to know that I shortened my life. I want to try to know that I did everything I can to get those years back, even if it's. Obviously, I'm never going to know how much time I earned back, but in my mind, like, even if I get back 2 years, to me, that's a huge benefit, and I did my work, So it upsets me that Faood feels like he still has to maybe do bodybuilding to have a brand or whatever. And I've had the inner battle myself about this. Like, do I have to go back to bodybuilding to keep growing my brand? I'm like, is it worth it? And I think maybe he might be battling that. He feels like he's like very hardcore bodybuilder. I'm not sure. Maybe he really is just diehard bodybuilder and he just wants to be a bodybuilder and do shows forever and whatever. And that's up to him. But I had the same battle, which I think he might be going through, is like, if he's not the bodybuilder, his brand's going to die. And it's a hard conversation to have with yourself because you're like, I want to be successful, but I don't want to die. I don't want to sacrifice my health to make more money. That doesn't make any sense because then I can't even enjoy the money. So you see salt in your mind, and you don't want people to look at you not as Faood the bodybuilder, and I had a hard time accepting that I was not going to be Nick the bodybuilder anymore. And I still do. I still look at pictures. I'm like, I could beat that guy. I could beat that. I could win that show. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm like, this is so childish. Like, I'm 33 now. Who cares if I can beat that guy? You know what I mean? That's just like a big dick contest. But I don't think he's at that point. I think he's beyond that. I think he's obsessed with it from a standpoint that he has such love and passion for it, but he doesn't want to let it go yet. He wants to still do it because they were talking about that too. They said, how does it feel to look at the young guys coming up? Did you hear that part? Mm-hmm. Like, is that weird for you to look at that? And John's like, no. And Faoud's like, yeah, I kind of accepted it. Like, it's fine, but I still want to make my legs better. So I don't know if it's like a thing he has to prove to himself that he can keep improving, if it's like a personal goal, or if it's like he wants to show his followers that he can still make gains and promote himself and whatnot. So it sucks though, because we all get these crossroads. John had it. I've had it. Faoud's having it. PJ Braun's had it. Like, everyone's had this point where they're like, I got to start veering off and becoming a human and not be so focused on, I don't want to rant, but like, I just want to
this was an amazing rant.
Please. I wanted to explain that well, because when I went back to the gym a couple of weeks ago, I still want to, I'm like, I could still be a bodybuilder. I could just do it safely, but like, I don't want to take the drugs. It's not that, but I'm like, I could still lift every day. And then I work out for 3 days. I'm like, fuck me. Like, I am in miserable shape right now. I can't get work done. I can't focus. I'm not sleeping well. my metabolism's sped up now. So now I got to eat all this fucking food to stay not hungry all day. I'm like, this is not working out well for my business. And this is not going to end up well, you know? So now I'm like, me having a 6-pack and bigger arms, is that really going to sell products? Like, really? I'm already doing great without it. What is that really going to do for me? You know? So I don't think people look at me like that anymore. They understand that. Maybe in the beginning they didn't, but I think everyone comes to this crossroad where they get really worried about, you know, it's almost like handing in like you're a cop. You're handing in your gun. You're retiring. Like, you're not a cop anymore. You're not here to protect and serve. So like, not bodybuilding is protecting and serving, but like, you're handing in your muscles. You're like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's
your identity, part of your identity.
It's your identity. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. It's your identity. It's very hard to accept that. And he's a big dude. He's popular in Canada. He's got a great following. And it's very hard to sit there and be like, I'm skinny now, and sit there and do your interviews every day. Like, not skinny, but you're not yourself. You're a shell of yourself. So,
Nick, I love what you've just said, to be honest. That's really just so honest and genuine. And
it's hard. It's hard.
Let's say another thing also about Fouad, which is, first of all, it really touched me, the video he made with Meadows.
Yeah, it was a good video.
It was good. It was good. I respect it. And I think he's trying his best there. There was some incorrect information, which I'll correct in a little bit, but that's not personal. I respected that video personally. Yesterday or before yesterday, I had the Lenny show. We made fun of Fouad a little bit. That won't happen again. I will never make fun of Fouad personally anymore, unless he does come threaten again, in which case he'll be done. By the way, Fouad, don't try that bullshit again. I'm not a joke like you. But
Lenny
anyway,
was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work with me. But if he's stays, I will never do that again. I respected that. I don't mean to bully this guy. I saw he's sad in the video. You could tell his face he's not acting normal. Even my wife saw it. So I don't want to do that at all. I don't mean to ever bully anyone. And I want to say another thing. Number one, Fouad, if he hears this, Fouad is a great podcast host. He's doing a great job. Yeah. He's built his brand, okay? His brand will be there to stay. His brand will be there even if he loses muscle. Now, what you talked about is a real thing, though. Not many people realize that. Bodybuilders and YouTubers are constantly trying to look as good as they can for the camera, because that's what sells. That's why Greg Doucette says he's on 140 milligrams when he's not, because he wants to look very good, because that makes people buy cookbooks. Perfect
example is what's her name's husband, Jimmy, that just had that serious Jimmy Lewin.
I don't know.
Michelle Lewin, the you don't know, you never saw him?
Llewellyn?
Lewin, Lewin.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You don't see you ever see him? He became popular because of his wife. She's a really pretty fitness model, and then he became popular on Instagram and YouTube because of all his videos. And he was a fat guy that became shredded. Oh. You didn't see the video of him now lately he had all this crazy kidney and organ failure. And his legs were like full of fluid from edema and all this shit. You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh my God, I got to show it to you. It's so heartbreaking, dude. But that's another guy that's pushed it like way too far.
But that's the truth, guys. Even somebody like me that does no physique right now, a zero, if I go to the gym and take a little bit of Trenbolone, a little bit during the week, immediately I look better on camera. And people will stop bothering me. They'll be like, oh, he's doing good, live long, and he's muscular. Now we like this guy. Mm-hmm. Of course. But the thing is, that's what sells. So you got to think. So guys sometimes have a difficulty separating that from itself. But I want to see Fouad can. His brand is so strong, and yours is too. It doesn't need it.
Doesn't need it.
And the other thing is, like, you mentioned recovering. Can you recover? Look, you know that you can develop plaque in your arteries and have it there for 20 years. And if you change the food that you're eating, as long as you're below the age of 50 or so, it can just go away.
Wow.
Yeah, your body can reverse itself. And even if your kidneys are in bad condition, you could keep them in as good of a condition as you can. And then eventually, if you have a replacement, that's fine, but you keep the rest of your health good.
Yeah.
80, 90, be perfectly fine, have no problems. But you need that willpower to do it. You know, you need to believe in yourself, love your wife, love your family, love others more than yourself, and then do that sacrifice. The final thing I want to say is just to correct the misinformation. So Fouad asked Meadows about does he need to lose weight? And Meadows was saying he's more afraid about it if for hearts. Actually, size, this is clinically true. You can check out any literature from nephrologists. You can ask any nephrologist. Size by itself, whether fat, obese people, by the way, get kidney failure all the time. All the time. It's very common.
Yeah.
So just size increases filtration rates on the kidney. The amount that you eat increases filtration rates on the kidney. So that's there's no question. If you want to protect your kidney, you go off androgens, or you go the lowest dose TRT you can. Personally, I would use the HCG, the lowest dose you can. And then you get smaller, you keep your blood pressure right. You don't get in moments of stress or lifting 500 pounds where your blood pressure might shoot up and burst some more blood vessels, which you don't have many left.
Right.
Those are the things you do. And no, you can't be big and keep your kidneys healthy if they're already like a 2 creatinine or something.
How does somebody figure out if they're too big? What's like the scale they use?
They use the body mass scale, but basically it's, you know, if you're a, I mean, for me, Fouad is too big. Let's just say it that way. I don't think you're too big. I don't think you're too big.
Yeah.
I think Fouad's too big, for example.
He's 280.
Maybe it would go to 220 and he could work it out.
Yeah.
Stay lean, you know.
So you're saying height has a lot to do with, so people understand, height has a lot to do with how much weight you should carry.
Well, they say body mass with the height, but actually the bigger you are, the taller you are, the more the kidneys are working too.
Right.
So the bigger you are, the more the kidneys, they have to grow to deal with the hyper.
It's kind of like your body composition more than anything, right? Basically what you're saying.
No, I'm saying like your total size. Your obesity, fat plus mass plus height plus all of that affects the amount of fluid the kidneys have to filter.
Yeah, but how does the regular Joe figure out if they're too big? If you're saying if they're
basically, if you're on steroids, you're probably too big.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah. If you look like you lift, you're too big, probably.
Right. Because people don't realize that muscles equals like just carrying that mass index around is just as bad. Like people don't realize.
Worse than fat. Yeah.
Yeah. It's horrible for you. Yeah.
Because it's protein. It's constantly being and what's hard for your kidneys to deal with? Protein.
Protein, yeah.
So you're constantly burning protein and getting protein back. So anyway, I just wanted to make peace with him. I really respected that video and I thought we should just say that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Now, for the audience, we were very tired this week, but next week we'll be back to normal.